If you're tired of not making progress and you're ready to be the artist you know you're meant to be, you're in the right place. You're listening to the Singer's Path podcast. The Path, or Performing Artists Training Hub, will cover everything, including singing tips that actually work, advice from top industry professionals, and life-changing mindset shifts. Out with the starving artist and in with the thriving artist. I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, professional singer, actor, educator, and entrepreneur. I'm not afraid to speak the truth and stop the gatekeeping of quality information so you can actually become the artist you dream of being. So let's get on the path, shall we? Even though we're all on our own journeys, it always helps to have a guide. Hey, it is me, not the Mario. Why do I do this? First thing when I wake up, I'm a little bit of a weird creature where I get up some days and I'm like probably kind of annoying because I'm like super energized and I had coffee. And then other days I look like the crypt keeper that woke up and you know, my husband has a hard time helping me rise to meet the world. So today is one of the energized days, the morning person, the Fiona of Shrek, if you will. And I was just feeling all skippity-doo-dah and wanted to get on here and talk about how we can get you to be less afraid of your head voice. The phobia of head voice. Listen, I get it because I used to hate that myself. Because literally for forever, like when I was in high school, I quite literally was like a competitive alto. Actually, like not like I was competitive as a quality. I mean, like I was like a high ranking top, like Eastern Seaboard top alto singer. Because we used to do these things called festivals. And they were really just like these conventions with a bunch of choir nerds where you would basically compete. And this is how it would go. Like you'd get a binder of like 12 pieces of music that are all in different languages and sometimes even different styles. And I would be on the alto line, so it'd be like weird as hell most of the time. And I was alto 1. So there was alto 1, alto 2, soprano 1, soprano 2. I was alto 1. So I was like kind of in the same like, oh my God, I'm like fearing for my life, like the soprano 2s where like the harmonies are like kind of crazy, whereas the alto 2s are kind of like on the steady line and the soprano 1s are on like the melody. So I was on alto 1 and I was a proud alto, okay, for a long time. And I was good at it. It made my ear really good, made my pitch good. I developed what's called I call pitch memory. That's a thing that I made up, but I think it's true because all the top singers that I know do this. And if you think it's full of shit, then you're not, you haven't sung professionally in the same way. Like I swear to God, like all of my friends on Broadway and who have done gigs and like your body starts to remember what the pitches feel like. And it's like why people think I have perfect pitch when I don't, but it's because I've memorized the notes so well and I have excellent relative pitch. And I know that's like, but like truly, like I could most of the time, I'm a little off. That's why it's not perfect, but I can remember physically what certain notes feel like. So with that, I really developed that from doing the repetition and this like brain wiring connection with the physical sensation, right? I do a lot of this in Pitch and Musician that exists to help people who like have a hard time wandering around pitch get right on it. But it's literally what I did. I did that. I'm a testament to that. Okay. But how these competitions would work, right? You had all this music. There were all these weird atonal lines that made no musical sense. And you would go into a room, you'd get a pitch pipe. Okay. They'd be like, do. And then they'd be like, okay, in this piece from measure 16 to 40, go. And they'd give us the pitch pipe and then we have to do it a cappella. A cappella on one of 12 pieces. So, and in different languages, no help, weird as hell. Okay, that's what I mean. Like we do some of that in Pitch and Musician because that's what made me like a fucking rock star at sight singing because it was like my body started to remember what pitches felt like. Okay, anyway, I digress. I was an elite alto, okay? And the reason I was on alto and not on second soprano and not on soprano one, if I'm really so for real, it's because I was afraid of going in my head voice. When I went into my head voice, I cracked. Because really the problem was I didn't know how to get through my break. Didn't know how to do it. And actually, when I trained as a teacher, there are multiple sections of your voice that are like that. So there's the first passaggio, the first break, which is like A4 to C5. And that's if you're training contemporary. Classical, different story. They're going to train your breakdown at like E4, lower. That's why so many head dominant singers bring head down so far. And they have a hard time singing pop and rock and stuff because then they have too much head voice in the bottom of their voice, okay? Like they're too thin when they should be thick. That's what's going on, okay? That's why I trained so many opera singers to sing pop. So anyway, so I was afraid of getting what's in my second passaggio. So that like D5 to like F sharp 5 region, that was like the danger zone. And then higher, I was like, forget it, because I had no ability to kind of stretch even to that middle ground point. Like the high notes, I was like freaking tweaking out. You know what I mean? I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. All right. So I am a testament to once I learned to stabilize and feel comfy cozy in those higher notes, I really started to excel and realize that the very part that I was avoiding because I don't know what the F I was doing was in that second passaggio. Sorry about it. It was. That's where my sparkle is now. That's literally where I get hired professionally to sing the most. So what I'm trying to say with this is if we have a little phobia of using the higher edge of our voice because we're like a little traumatized about it, or like we know just it isn't stable, it isn't good, or we just simply hate the sound of it, we're going to talk about how you can hate it less today and kind of the difference between what are different in the ingredients that you need. And before I really launch full force into this, I want you to take a second and we're going to take a short break and you're going to listen to an offer that's happening right now, which is huge, like literally Black Friday level sale going on right now. It's kind of insane because I'm not going to do a bundle like this for Black Friday this year. But I still wanted you to have access to it. So that's why Christmas is in October. And I might say that in the ad and I'm sorry. But I want to take a quick second that like if any of this episode today resonates with you, please check out this particular thing going on. Okay, Amanda, take it away.
Hear ye, hear ye. It is that oh so special time of year where we bundle high-quality singing resources for you at a fraction of the price. The Renaissance Bundle is now available until October 14th. Last year, you had to wait until Black Friday to get deals this good. Well, dear, since you've overcome the Black Death, Christmas has come early this year. The Renaissance Bundle is packed full of singer resources that will completely equip you with everything you need as a Renaissance singer. This bundle includes the most monumental Singer's Path programs, Discover, the Pillars series, and Advanced Mix. And the best part? You will save over $300 on this special sale. So take advantage of this very special sale while it lasts, dear. The Renaissance Bundle is only available until October 14th, 2025. So go to the link in the show notes or go to sarahbishopvocalstudio.com. Give yourself the tools to become a master of your art. And now I will finally cease speaking to you in this tone, and we will get back to the episode.
Just wanted to make sure that you knew that that was happening because it's literally bonkers. And everything that we're going to talk about today is present in both Pillars and in Advanced Mix. And not just talking about it, like I'm just kind of talking to you today. Like those two things have actual conditioning lessons. They feel like you're in a private lesson with me. That's how they're designed to be. That's how I coach them. And you are going to feel like you're interacting with me. It's a little Dora the Explorer for singers sometimes. But that's what I could feel like. But it actually does work. And it's not just going to be me instructing you. It's you are going to be actively taking the lesson with me. And then you have all of the conditioning and practice tracks so you don't have to keep watching the video over and over again, that you can really make it a part of your routine and actually like more permanently resolve these issues. Okay. Because you don't need more information unless you do and you like listening to me on this podcast. Like, I guess we can always use more info, especially if you're struggling with something. However, what you really need is implementation. You need to actually coach it in and condition it in. And this bundle does that for you. And it's actually insane. It's not quite buy one, get one free, but like, fuck, it's not far off. I mean, it's literally over $300 off. It's insane. It's kind of insane. Like, I'm kind of not supposed to run sales this big, actually, because, it's not like super great for business to discount your stuff so much, but I don't give a shit. I feel for you because I'm going to share some personal stories again beyond even the choir thing as to why I needed something like this. So I feel for you. I want you to have it. I'm making it accessible. And if the lump sum is still too much, because I know we're artists, you've worked hard for your money. Yeah, you did work hard. That's why I care that it's good, so that you're spending something of quality and not just wasting it on something that's not going to fucking work again. But there are also payment plans, so it doesn't stress you out. So if you go to Afterpay or Klarna, that literally you could get started for as low as like $47 a month or something. It's kind of like no excuse. Like that's a little over what, $1 a day, right? Well, like $1, maybe not even $1.50, like $1.30 a day. I don't care how fucking poor you are, you can afford $1 a day. All right. So don't make that the excuse. It is accessible for any price point. You can get started. Now, again, that's US currency. I know there's some of y'all that are listening from like Brazil and like other foreign countries and in Jordan. Like with that, I understand that that's a little different. But for my US and Canadian and European folks, like, sorry about it. Like, don't tell yourself that excuse. Okay. I feel for you. I get it. And you can make it work if you're tired. What I don't want to have happen is y'all still complaining about how it's not fixed yet and then not taking any action step and actually doing the work. Okay, we can't have that because that's in victim mentality. So if you want to not be in the poopy diaper anymore and you want to fix what we're going to talk about today, please go check that out. It ends October 14th. Okay, add on an ad. Sarah, I just get excited about it. I'm honestly just excited for you to have it. So that's why I keep talking about it. All right. So let's talk about let's get into it, how we can more efficiently, like, finally feel less like shit about our head voice. And these are four, I mean, I'm not great on like the quick fixes, but these are four like things that you like truly can adjust right now that will make it feel better, like no matter what. Okay. And again, another reason why I created what I've created and what I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to empathize with you for a second. And the reason I was phobic of my head voice is like I had like a kind of borderline traumatic experience, like where I like shocked my nervous system into oblivion and like it was no longer quote unquote safe to be in head voice because I wasn't doing what I'm going to tell you here. Actually to the point where I was like, oh, I was not a good age to do this. I was like 12, 13, like prime time for shame, baby. And I tried to sing a song that's actually really hard. It's called Much More from the Fantastics. And it was like my talent for a pageant I was doing. And I think it was a little like, oh, stretch yourself outside your comfort zone and challenge yourself and then go out in front of people and do that. No, for a performance, okay, until you're ready to do that and you're feeling stable and you've repped it out enough, not the time to like really push it, especially if it's like your second or third time singing in front of people. I had someone once come to me and she was like, oh, for Showcase, I want to really challenge myself. And for Showcase, that's like your introductory like performance to the business, kind of a big fucking deal. Okay. It's really your calling card, and it's going to really, if you do well, it really sets you up and positions you well for future opportunities. So again, kind of a tangent, but like not the time to sing the hardest thing you've ever sung. Okay. You want to be really in your comfort zone for that. Okay. And in this particular performance, because I never sung head voice for anyone before, probably would have been a little safer at like a piano recital, not in front of more people in a competition setting. No, it wasn't good for my brain. Okay. And so basically what I was doing, I was keeping my mouth closed. I wasn't leaning into resistance. And I yeah, that was pretty much it. I could have cried a little bit more on top of the song sound, and that would have helped. But again, it was like leaning into the resistance aspect, and moving my air was probably another issue. And I wonder if someday, if you guys write in and you're like, I want to see this, like I'll try to send a video or something to you. But more or less, I was not stable, and that's what it feels like when you're in head voice and you just don't know what the fuck you're doing, and it doesn't feel strong yet, and you literally don't know how to get it under control. It literally feels like, oh well, let's see how this goes. I don't know. Jesus, take the wheel. And this could go really, really wrong. This could go really wrong. And it sometimes does. And then if you're not used to holding yourself through that and like having enough confidence to be like, I can crack and I'll be fine. Devastating. Okay. So just a little empathy here. If that's you and that's why you're so afraid of head voice because something like that happened or someone made a comment or you just think it sounds screechy and awful, I hear you and I was you. Most of these things that I talk about and I can talk about them so candidly and honestly is because I did them. All right. And people that call me up, they're like, that sounds fabricated for ads. No, bitch. I wish it wasn't. Can I? Girl, you don't get to tell me that the experience that I had didn't happen. Fuck you. Don't gaslight me on my own story. Anyway, people suck. Anyway, all right. So let's get to those 4 things, shall we? First thing, to get you to not feel as shitty about your head voice is you have to actually start to condition it on closed vowels. Start there first. What are closed vowels? Oo, E. We love an oo and an E. Very important for starting to learn head dominant singing. Why? Because those closed vowels help the vocal folds to be thinner and stay there. Okay. When I say thinner, I mean we're trying to get the muscles to give over to a different muscle called the CT, the cricothyroid muscle. That actually ends up tugging and stretching the vocal folds. That's what we're trying to encourage to happen. And for some reason, right, there's a physiological reason, probably with back pressure and like the shape of your head and how your mouth is forming and all of that. But when you use those, hoo, hoo, he, you are going to have a way better getting that kind of thinner sound lower in your voice, and you're going to feel a little more stable up top. Now, once it gets to a certain point, like when you're like past like A flat A for my sopranos, especially, maybe even like G for my altos, maybe, for the guys, probably like A flat A. Well, no, y'all can go. I would say maybe like C5 for my tenors, maybe B flat for my baritones kind of thing. Once you get to a certain shape, also training head voice is a little bit different for lower voices for baritones and tenors because y'all just have so much more chest on the bottom. And even like the classical singers use so much more chest voice and they just like mix into their extension. It's not so much as like a super like that doesn't exist so much for my lower voices, just so you know. So I am for a second gonna be, you can still do these exercises and they will still work and they will still strengthen you. And the like super heady styles mostly exist for a lot of higher voices, right? You need head voice, tenors and baritones. You definitely need it and it will help you mix. But like even in classical music, it's a little less present. Anyway, I digress. What was I going to say? Okay. So I was saying if you get to a certain point, and you're still trying to keep the vowels closed, like, and you get to like, again, I said soprano was like above, like an A5 into like B flat 5, B5, and even into C6, you have to start opening your mouth. Okay. And we're going to talk about that here in a second. But when you're first starting to do it and get comfortable with it and starting to not hate it so much, you do have to use closed vowels and learn, especially if you're singing head dominant styles and want it to match the bottom, you'll still kind of think of bringing that kind of like closed vowel sound down. Ooh, ooh. Like being a spooky ghost like that will help you bring that sound. And the other thing I want to point out, because a lot of y'all that hate your head voice have a pretty strong bottom of your voice most of the time, unless you're still like just afraid of being heard and you're keeping everything really locked tight and like really small. So if you're a belter and you're trying to go up, have you ever noticed that like when you sing oohs and e's like lower in your voice, it's just the fucking worst? Because it just doesn't, you're like, what do I do with this? Do I like full blast this like soon, soon? You don't know what to do with it. Like those closed vowels, see, right? They don't feel good lower in the voice when you're trying to like full send a note on a closed vowel lower. That's because, like I said earlier, like those closed vowels are going to want to encourage more chord stretch, right? They tend to be more comfortable in higher notes. That's why I'm telling you to use them. It's the same reason why we use open vowels, all that kind, all those to train in chest voice. Because basically open vowels will help the lower notes. Closed vowels will help the higher notes, kind of across the board. You can just start there, okay? So if you're using a closed vowel in chest, that's going to feel like shit because it's bringing a heady quality. And if you're not knowing that or accepting that, you're going to fight it and it's going to feel weird. So what do we do about that? Well, if you have to sing a lower note on a closed vowel, sometimes we can lean into modifying the vowel. So instead of E, unless you really want to do that, which you might on a head dominant style, but instead of E, you might start to kind of open it up to like an ish shape, and that will help make it feel a little bit more solid and not like you have to push so much. So again, instead of like if we were to, let me turn on my piano. You won't be able to hear it very well because I don't like have it plugged in separately, but just to give me an actual note that I'm singing. Would be an example. Sorry, sometimes I go a little nasal. That's a bad habit. But as you're coming down, that is me bringing a head quality down here. Versus if I was to sing it more in a chest way, I would start in my brain. That's usually just enough. Think and that will help to bring a little bit more of that like open vowel quality to it, so you won't feel so much like shit. But some exercises, again, let's redirect. But I just wanted to kind of notate that as far as like the purpose of these open vowels as tools versus closed vowels, and like just kind of connect the dots for you, justify some shit here. So on these high notes that you have going on, if it just feels squeaky and awful, start with these closed vowels. And literally just do that, okay? The second piece is to make it sound not airy and weak is you have to lean into the resistance, right? We talked about resistance on those early episodes. Okay, like first, second, and third episodes. There's an episode about thickness and thinness, right? Which kind of is what I just talked about with the vowel. And then there's another episode with resistance. This is huge, guys. You cannot, and there's some discrepancies with air. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But you cannot let air leak through your sound. Okay? That's why you're out of breath. That's why you feel winded. That's why it sounds weak and shitty. You have to lean into the vocal fold closure. What the fuck does that mean, Sarah? Well, you have to do tools that help encourage that closure. A couple of ways you could do that are using more smaller diameter straws will do that. And I swear to God, if any fucking voice teachers have a problem with fucking straws, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because they're really important and they can really gently help you with this, and they're absolutely full of shit. It can help you develop this skill, this resistance, learning to get the vocal folds to lean into and have proper usage in an efficient way, in a safe way. Okay. That's one of the easiest ways to do it. So I wouldn't do like a boba straw or like a normal straw. I would look at like getting a juice box straw, or like a coffee straw is a bit extreme, but that will also do it. And it forces your vocal folds to get together with pressure, right? It forces them. Some other tools that you can use that will lean into, again, chord closure. So you're not going like this. Wishing you were somehow here. No, we don't like that. Wishing. The reason it's clear and sounds good is because I am both in a heady closed vowel kind of shapy feeling. And my vocal folds are using the air correctly. They're working against it. That's why it sounds clear. So if you don't have a straw and you don't want to do that, there's a couple other things you can do. You can do a fist. So you're literally going to close your fist and you're going to sing into it. I know that's an unpleasant sound to listen to, but that, again, with back pressure, will force the vocal folds to get together. Wishing you were somewhere here. Okay. Galinda's, oh my God, if you have someone that you know that wants to be Galinda, please send this to them right the fuck now. Send this to them. I can't tell you how many classes I've sat in for the director of Wicked with girls that want to be Galinda, and this is their biggest fucking problem. They can't get their damn vocal folds to come together. Okay. And we're going to get to the air thing, like taking that inhale. And we need that. Yes. But you need that. And you have to do this step. Please, please, please send this to the girls that want to be Galinda. This will help them actually get the job. They're not getting the job because they're going, for you and it sounds like trash. They're not getting any ring. You can't get ring that way. You have to have them come together. For you. I don't know if I'm not hitting the right note. Sorry. For you and I. That has to be there. Otherwise, it's just, you're sabotaging your sound, okay? So we have straws, we have fist. You can also go a little extreme and do like a little creaky. And it's small. I'm not pressing on it, but I'm just making this like little like, if someone was going to talk to you and they're like, hey, do you like to eat spaghetti? I don't know why you would say no to this, but if they're like, do you want some spaghetti? And you're like, no, that kind of like kind of creaky feeling. That is not bad. If anyone tells you that's bad, they're full of shit too. Okay. It's necessary to help train in vocal fold closure. Don't do it if you're feeling tired and feeling like fatigued, but you can do that. We use glottal stops all the time in speech. Anytime you start, I just did it. Anytime, literally any vowel that starts the word apple, igloo, eagle, icicle, excellence. All of those words start with the glottal stop. So if some fucking idiot teacher is telling you never to use a glottal stop, they're full of shit. Don't listen to them. Okay. Anyway, you need it. That's a good training tool. If your vocal folds they can't come together all the way. They're not having full closure, full depth, and you sound like an airy, weak piece of poop on those top notes, then use some glottal stops. Or close your mouth to make it even safer. And then all of a sudden, your sound is going to be clear and ringy, and you're going to be like, WTF. That was that easy that whole time. Yes, it was. People are just not telling you the truth, or they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay? I'm spicy today. Woohoo! Okay. So, third thing to get it to not sound like absolute trash. Okay? Third thing is you have to open your mouth. Now, I know the next two things, the number 3 and number 4 are going to seem like they contradict with what I just said. And that's why singing's so hard. Okay? But I know I just trained you to do closed vowels to work it in. That's step 1. But we need to somehow learn to isolate, keeping the closed vowel internally, or rather externally for like an ooh, like your lips are closed, but your mouth is open in an O shape. So if you were to go, instead of going like, ew, with your mouth really closed, really literally think like you're going to say oh in the cavity of your mouth between your molars, but then make your lips ooh, ooh, ooh. That is creating space that's needed for the sound to like go somewhere, right? There needs to be a spot for the resonance to take hold. That's why that's going to answer the question of it sounds shrill and squeaky. If it sounds shrill and squeaky, it's because you're not opening your mouth. There's nowhere for the resonance to go. It's like trapped and resonating in the wrong place. Yeah, no. You need to drop your jaw, even if you're singing an ooh. That's arguably the same thing I was doing. That's the same effort, but that's the difference of dropping the jaw. So, versus, yeah, you need it. You need that to happen, okay? If you're doing an E vowel, again, thinking loose E, you can still maintain the vowel with the back of the tongue, like E, like going in the right place. And then you can isolate it, like try to hold the E and drop your jaw at the same time. Like be mindful of your tongue staying in that same like raised position where the back of it is touching the molars, and try to see if you can isolate the jaw extending downward, right? A releasing downward. So it will modify the vowel a little bit, but we don't want right? You don't want to lose it completely. Move slower. Do you hear how like that kind of moved it? But I'm still saying E. I didn't like completely fall out of it. No. And that's because the back of my tongue is holding onto the vowel. Okay. Huge big deal. The other thing about space, so there's the keeping space in the mouth, which I just told you. There's also creating extra space by lifting the soft palate. The soft palate, when it lifts, blocks like the space where air will come out of your nose, and that's kind of part of my problem sometimes when I sound nasal, is because my soft palate isn't properly working, and I use some back of tongue manipulation to like get the sound that I have, and like sorry about it. I know, okay, I know, opera people, back the fuck off. I'm aware, I'm trying, okay. But the soft palate lifting will help counteract that the kind of nasally sound or the blocked sound, and it will also again give it more space to resonate in a more stable way. So and if you're having a hard time finding the soft palate, if you like take your thumb and you run it over the top of your mouth, like this is a very interactive episode today. If you take your thumb, you run it against the roof of your mouth, you feel the hard bony part. Okay, that's the hard palate. If you keep going back where it starts to get fleshy before you hit your uvula, that's the soft palate. So that is going to kind of lift. And how do you lift it? Well, you can, this one's a little bit flawed because it can cause some back of tongue engagement, which we don't love, but it's kind of part of my problem a little bit. But if you think of yawning, your soft palate will lift as you're yawning, even though the tongue is also depressing. So we want to try to isolate the lift from the tongue, but that will happen. The second thing is you could try to like think of like maybe wiggling your ears or popping your ears sometimes can help. And as you're kind of learning this yawny thing about isolating the tongue, it's that Julia Child, like Mickey Mouse, kind of thing. You can also do a trick where you plug the nose to help from air coming out of the nose, which will stop it from being nasal. So if you want to do like the no one mourns the wicked phrase, plug your nose and try it on an E vowel. We're gonna combine all the things we just did. Do it on an E vowel, holding onto the E, dropping the jaw, and plugging the nose. And that will help, again, simulate that space both internally in the soft palate and with the jaw dropping. Right? And that's where you get that beautiful, vibrant sound. Okay. Finally, one thing for internal space, generally with head styles, especially classical ones, you need to have your larynx not in a low position. We don't need to press it down. Sometimes that can dampen and sabotage your sound if you're thinking really wishing you awesome. That puts you in Carlotta world versus Christine world. Okay, in Phantom. Especially if you're over dampening the sound, it will literally dampen the acoustics and cut out your ring. And we don't want that. So we want a neutral, rested laryngeal position, not necessarily an overly pushed down version. Not disposed. The word is failing me at this moment. Imposed. There it is. Imposed larynx. We don't need to be overly dumb because that's not quite either. Okay. Your neutral sound is going to be enough. So how do we find that neutral laryngeal position? Especially if we're used to singing kind of like this, the contemporary musical theater. That's another problem with the Glindas. Oh my God. You can have it's okay to have a little bit of a bright character voice, but if you're trying to impersonate Kristen Chenoweth, she has a color to her voice. Her instrument is just smaller. She's bright just naturally. You don't have to lift your larynx to get that to happen. So neutralize your larynx. It's fine to have a warm soprano for Glinda. They've cast it. Okay. Take that tracheal reset breath. So you're going to think really open throat and allow the air to kind of drop down. And then you'll try the phrase. So that in itself, right, thinking that open throat on the breath, that silent, slow breath will inherently line the larynx up for success. So if we did it all together, I'm going to plug my nose. We're going to do it on E, and I'm still going to hold on to the vowel while I'm dropping my jaw. Right? That creates a recipe for success. Now, if you're going to move to the words, right, I would like you to drill it on the E or the U vowel before you move to words so that you kind of get used to that sensation, but that's how you do it, okay? So you do the tool, then do the song. For you right? So that's how you'll do it. And then that's going to help with the space, okay? But you got to make sure your sound's clear. If you're going, hey, no, you better go back to a resistance tool then and practice that so that all of those pieces come together to make this sound. Okay, and this leads me to, okay, hey, what if you're having a hard time sustaining that note? Well, you are then, to make this the ingredients to the sound, you need to have more air in your tank. So you do need to take those beautiful classical breaths, those low, slow, deep breaths where you're fully inhaling. However, that does not mean you need to spit out and blow all the air out, right? That's another reason why resistance, which is really the use of said air, needs to happen. If you're not used to managing that much air, and you take in a big breath and blow it all out, that's why you're winded. And also because you're not using it efficiently. And if you have that lack of cord closure where it's airy, for you and I, it's basically like having a leak. You're leaking your resource. So that's what you will feel less out of air, and you'll be able to manage big breaths more if you work on that resistance tool. That's why it was first. Okay. So you do need to take low, slow, big breaths. You don't necessarily need that much air for like a more contemporary mixed belt or pop sound. Sometimes, especially if you have a hard time leaning even more into resistance in different areas of your voice, that can make it harder to manage, like truly. And then y'all start to squeeze and you start to yell and blow all the air out. It's like you can't hold it. It's like, oh, I got to get rid of all this air. Well, then in that case, take less in. Like there is no like standard amount of air that you need to take in. You need to take in as much as your body needs for that phrase. That's the answer. If anyone tries to tell you otherwise, they're full of shit. Okay. So yes, just to review, you need to use closed vowels to help you get used to this feeling, this thinner feeling. Then we need to target resistance to make sure the sound is clear and not airy and weak. Then you will start to open your mouth. So then it starts to sound less shrill. You can open your mouth. You could play with lifting the soft palate and keeping that openness in the throat. All of those things will help the sound itself be less shrill and tight. And then the fourth step, so that you can sustain it, is you do need to take more breaths. And especially in this shape, actually having more air in your tank will help you with the cord closure. That's not necessarily the case with mixed belt styles. And again, chest dominant styles, it's not necessarily true. But having a little bit more air from the bottom, right, that almost subglottic pressure, well, you don't want to lean into that too much. But having the pressure underneath the folds will actually encourage more cord closure in this shape. And again, singing in different ways, in different areas of your voice and in different styles is different. It's different. There's different things you need to do. There's subtle things, but there are differences to the sound. That's why they sound different. So if you're noticing, you're like, this was extremely helpful. I'm noticing that I have XYZ thing going on in my voice. God, I would really love to train this in. You better get your ass on that Renaissance bundle. Okay? Because it's literally as low as it's going to be for over a year. Truly. I do sales sometimes. I don't know. I can't guarantee shit. But I have done sales where I isolate, Pillars is discounted and then Advanced Mix is discounted. But to get them both together like this with Discover, with everything and have it that discounted, kind of crazy. Kind of insane. So again, it was like a Black Friday level deal and we're not doing it on Black Friday. So you get it early. So take advantage of it because I'm not going to do it again for a very long time. If I do it again, I don't know if I'll do it again. Yeah, I don't know. Right. So that's why I always encourage people to jump on it now, especially when it's such a good deal. And there are literal lessons doing the things that we just did, like full ass lessons where I'm like coaching you through it and you rep it out and you do the work, because it's not enough just to know and try and be like, cool. And I know that now. No, you need to condition your body to be able to do it consistently. I just labeled 4, even 6 things. There were like a bunch of information in there. Your body has to layer that information and learn it one step at a time so it actually does it and you don't feel like your brain's going to explode. That's why singing is learned in layers. That's why you have to kind of piece one thing at a time. And at first it does feel like a mind fuck, but when you get better at it and you start to lean into trusting that your body's going to hold the first couple steps and then you can focus on the next couple steps, that's when you're able to start to do the sound consistently. And especially if you want big things, you want to be the lead in your community show, you want to be Galinda on Broadway, you need to do this work so that you're set up for that to happen. You need to do it now. You need to condition and consistently now. Don't wait until the thing is here and you can't layer all of these things at once. You can't. It's not possible, right? In that moment of the audition, I want you to get carried away in the storytelling aspect of it. I don't want you thinking about your resistance and fucking opening your mouth. That should already be a given. So you have to do this drilling now, right? And I get it. That's why I made them, is because like, hey, I can't afford to do weekly voice lessons with top teachers who would give me this information, who would train me. Yeah, I know. That's why I made it. So please, I know it's a lump sum, but for God's sakes, compared to literally, oh, Jesus Christ, like what did I spend on learning this and conditioning this in for myself? Like literally upwards of 20 grand. I'm not even joking. If we're thinking about all that teacher training, I mean, that was over 6,000 a year for 3 years. Plus extra lessons. Like, guys, I'm like dead ass. Like, it was probably like 20 grand, like at least, to learn this and condition this myself. Okay, so the price of this doesn't seem so bad. Okay, so I'm telling you, it is going to be streamlined and more accessible to you. And plus, if like, even if you get it and you're like, this is still like, I need more help. Like, I want attention. If you ever wanted to work with me in group lessons, you still need to have pillars. Like, you need to have this foundation of information. Like, that's the prerequisite. You can't come to class without it. So even if you want the extra help, you need this step anyway. All right. There's literally no reason why to not look at this. So check out the show notes. The Renaissance bundle's in the show notes. And it's called the Renaissance because we are really giving you all of the tools to make all these sounds. Like, you're getting your full paintbrush and palette as if you're a Renaissance artist. And a Renaissance artist is someone that is really versatile and capable and masterful. So yeah, that's what this does. And I say that with my full fucking chest because it's literally all the training that I've received. And I know it works because I do it. Yeah. So with all of that, check that out. I hope you found some gold in here. This was a very, very useful, like, gold mine of an episode. Share it with people who are afraid of their head voice. Share it with people who dream of playing a lead role that they feel is like out of their range. It's not. They probably, well, I don't know. I don't know who you are, but it's probably not. They just need to train this in. And with that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Check out that Renaissance bundle link in bio. If you enjoy this show, make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And if you leave us that 5-star review, I will enter you have to take a picture of it, especially if it's a written review, 5-star written review on Apple Podcast. Take a picture of it, email it to me at singerspath@gmail.com, and I will enter you in a pool to draw from free private lessons with me. I don't offer those, right, to the public, so it's a pretty big deal to get pulled for one of those. And it's free. A free private lesson with me. Are you dead? So why wouldn't you? Especially if you're like jazzed about the show. I was going to pull the name at the end of September, but I'm going to push it until after this Renaissance thing is over. And I'll probably go on like TikTok Live, or maybe I'll do it on TikTok Live with the podcast to kind of pull the name while it's happening. So yeah, and I mean, the more, hopefully we'll make it more of a consistent thing the more that the show grows, but just know that even entering in the pool now, I'll keep you in the pool, right? So it's not like, oh, I didn't get pulled that one time. And like, no, your name will still be in it, but you're going to have a higher chance of winning the free lesson if you do it while the show is still smaller and the audience is still smaller. Because I have a feeling, I hope over time this is going to grow. So if you really want that lesson and you want to get, touch base and get some free info that's rocking and rolling, get in there. All right. I love you. Good job. Hope to talk to you next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. This helps me get this information out to more artists all over the world. Let's work together to spread the joys of music. Until next time, I'm your host, Sarah Bishop, signing off from the Singer's Path podcast. Thanks for listening.